Hi, independent artists. Welcome to the Empowered Indie Artist channel. I'm Becky, here to help independent artists just like you learn everything you need to know about being an independent artist. Today, I'm going to tell you the 5 things you really need to consider when you are choosing the distribution company for your music. Now, if you're new here or new into releasing music as an independent artist, you may have just recently discovered that there's a lot of different distribution companies. You can't just send your music to Spotify directly. I mean, you could, but actually these days, I don't know. It used to be that you could, but they made it very difficult, and it was actually expensive if you weren't a record label. And thus, these distribution companies, kind of middlemen companies, came about maybe 15 years ago. And as soon as independent artists were trying to release music onto digital platforms, there needed to be some middleman company. And it used to be, I think CD Baby was like the only one for years. And then others have popped up over the past decade. And there's so many, and it can be really overwhelming trying to decide what's the right one for you. And it really is a very specific question that you alone can answer. No one can say, oh, this one's the best, pick them. So I narrowed it down to 5 things that are really the things you need to be considering. First of all, though, I want to show you, I'm going to share with you aristake.com. If you don't know who Ari Herstand is yet, he's a blogger and YouTube. He's just a music business entrepreneur. He knows a lot. He does a ton of research and is kind of the guru. So I'm going to go to his chart, and we're not going to go over his chart. I'm not going to go through it and talk about all the different distribution companies, but I hope it will illustrate for you how difficult this decision can be. So let me go to that chart. Okay, here we are on aristake.com on his distribution chart. And I can't even see the whole thing on my computer screen because it's so massive. If you want to go to the website, it's just aristake.com, or you can just Google in Ari's Take distribution and it will pop up right away. But what you can see is that there are a ton of different distribution companies. And then on this axis on the side here, you can see all of the different factors that he is answering for all of these distribution companies. And so we're not going to talk about all of these in detail, but what I'm going to do is show you the 5 things you really need to consider. Number 1 thing to consider is the frequency of releases, because there's sort of 2 camps. There's the annual fee model and the per release, I'll take a royalty cut model in this distribution company world. They're basically one or the other. So if I'm releasing music only once every few years, it doesn't really make sense that I might be paying an annual fee of $20 and I might only be getting a few dollars every year on streams. And yes, it can be that low if you're not really focused on releasing music regularly or worrying about being an independent artist. It's just more for fun. The annual fee is going to gobble up all of your royalties, every single year. So basically, you'll always be in the hole. If I'm focused on releasing music on a regular basis, then I'm probably doing at least 6 to 8 releases every single year. Then it really makes sense to go with a distribution company that charges an annual fee but doesn't take any royalties out of my streams. Does that make sense? So that's the first, is really how frequently are you going to be releasing music? Do I want an annual fee model or a per release model? Number 2 thing to consider is geography. Now, you might think, what's the big deal with that? But it really can matter, because what if you had a large fan base already in China? Not all distribution companies will distribute to China. Did you know that? So here's in Ari's chart here, you can see there's several that do not, and some that will only say, distribute to specific territories in China. So that's just one thing that you might want to consider, or that you'll need to consider. The number 3 are specific needs that you might have. For example, do you really want to have credits for your producers, for your songwriters? Do you really want to make sure your music is going to TikTok? Some distribution companies require that you upgrade. Well, it looks like only one does. Do you want your music on Instagram? Most of them looks like they do. Another specific need is if you do a lot of covers, then not every single distribution company will handle cover licenses for you. You need to obtain a mechanical license for cover songs. Not all of them will do that, or looks like DistroKid will do it for $1 a month. Lander does it for $15 a song. So that's something very important to consider. That looks like there's Fresh Tunes won't even do cover song releases, so that's something that would instantly take them off your list. Number 4 is splits. Now, if you are working in collaboration with other artists, or if you've got negotiated splits with your producer, anything like that, then you will know that making sure that everyone is getting paid every time money is coming in, digital royalties is coming into your distribution company. If you have to like calculate it all and then Venmo everybody their share, that is a royal pain. Believe me, before they started doing splits, I was doing that and it is a pain. And I only had like a couple of those happening. So, the ability to split the songwriting, the royalties that are coming through our distribution company is pretty huge, I think, for a lot of people. So payment splitting, you can see that not every distribution company does it. I, for example, use DistroKid a lot. They do the splits, but even if I have a paid account and I happen to have the advanced like musician label account, which is more per year than the normal $20, if I want to split it with the artist, they also have to have a regular account with DistroKid. So I think that's kind of crappy. It feels to me like they're double dipping, but oh well. Right now, that's they're one of the best, but there's also 1RPM does it and it's totally free. RouteNet does it and it's totally free. You can see there's a lot of options. So if you're collaborating regularly with other writers, other artists, with producers, that's something very important to consider. Number 5 is anything that's kind of extra. For example, pre-saves on Spotify. Let's say that you're focusing all of your, well, a lot of your energy on marketing and fan base building on Spotify. You're focused on trying to get on different playlists. You want to be able to have that pre-save feature, but not every single distributor does it. So you can see Spotify pre-save, Amuse does not do it. AWOL does. CD Baby does it with show.co. DistroKid does it. Anyway, you can see that not everybody does it, or it's an extra fee. Anything extra like, oh, you do a lot of music videos and you want to be able to distribute your music videos. There's some of these distribution companies offer music videos to Vivo, some do not, things like that. Really important stuff to know. So I hope that was helpful. I also have a releasing music checklist. If you will look in the description below, there's a link. You can opt into my email list, and I promise I do not send a bunch of emails. This is just maybe once a week, okay? But this is a releasing music checklist that will walk you through all of the steps in choosing your distribution company, where you need to register all of your songs before you release so that you're getting all of your royalties, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. See ya next time.